Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. Today we're going to be talking about Jeopardy.
Woo, exciting.
Yeah, and we've got a great source for this one. We're going to be looking at some interviews with Drew Goins, a recent Jeopardy contestant.
Okay, very cool.
So we're going to get a little behind-the-scenes peek at what it's like to be on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jeopardy, it's so iconic and it's been around for so long. I think everyone's always kind of wondering, like, what's it really like over there?
Yeah, exactly. And Goins actually had some interesting things to say about that. One of the things that really surprised him was how authentic the whole experience was.
Interesting.
He went in expecting kind of some of that TV magic.
Right.
Like, maybe some tricks to amp up the drama for the viewers at home.
Yeah, you'd think there'd be some sort of like, they'd hype it up or something.
Yeah.
Make it even more exciting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he said what you see on TV is basically exactly what the contestants experience.
Wow.
Even down to the commercial breaks. Like when they go to commercial, it's actually happening in real time.
Oh, wow. So they're not like stopping and starting a bunch of times?
Nope. They just keep rolling. So it's just like you're watching it at home.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it kind of speaks to their commitment to a fair competition.
Right.
It's all about knowledge and quick thinking. There's no need to manufacture any sort of drama.
Yeah, no behind-the-scenes shenanigans.
Exactly. And, we've all seen those little moments where Ken Jennings pops up during commercial breaks to chat with the audience.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Goins got to experience that firsthand.
He did.
Yeah. And he said Jennings was super warm and personable, just kind of hanging out, answering audience questions.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. It must have been really cool to see that side of him, after watching him dominate the game for so long.
Definitely.
So that's kind of a neat little tidbit.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, Goins also had this interesting way of dealing with the pressure of being on stage, which we'll get to in a second. But first, I want to kind of set the scene here.
Okay.
We're talking about Jeopardy, right? A very serious quiz show.
Very serious.
Everyone's in their formal attire.
All right. Very buttoned up.
Exactly. And there's all this intellectual intensity.
Yes.
So now imagine this. During commercial breaks,
Right.
when the cameras are off and everyone's supposed to be taking a breather,
Yeah.
Goins would just start doing calisthenics.
Wait, what?
Yeah, like right there on stage.
No way. He's like doing jumping jacks.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Air squats toe, touches arm shakes, the whole 9 yards.
Wow, that is not what I was expecting.
I know, right? It's kind of hilarious to picture.
Here's it.
Everyone's all dressed up, mentally prepping for those tough categories.
Right.
And then you got this guy next to you just busting out a few squats.
Wow. It's like a whole different kind of brain game going on there.
Right. And it just goes to show you how differently people cope with pressure.
Definitely. Because you would think on a show like Jeopardy, everybody would be like, super serious and quiet.
Exactly. You'd think they'd all be like, meditating or something.
Right. Exactly.
But no. Goins needed to move. He needed to stay loose.
Wow. That's pretty awesome.
And, he even admitted that not everyone would be comfortable with his method.
Yeah, I can see that.
Especially in that kind of setting.
Right. You're in your fancy clothes. You don't want to be like sweating and stuff.
Exactly. So, yeah, Goins definitely stands out.
He does. But in a good way, I think.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good reminder that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to handling pressure.
Yeah. You got to do what works for you.
Exactly. But we'll get back to Goins' behind-the-scenes stories in just a bit.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so we've talked about the authenticity of the Jeopardy experience and Goins' unique way of handling the pressure. But I want to kind of circle back to something else that came up. This idea of Jeopardy being, a genuinely honest competition in an age where so much of what we see on TV just feels so manipulated.
Right.
And it's interesting because Goins is a big fan of reality TV shows. Like he even mentioned in watching Survivor.
Yeah.
And he was kind of comparing the two and pointing out how Survivor often tries to create this illusion of like real world drama and isolation.
Right.
When in reality, there are cameras and producers everywhere kind of influencing the whole narrative.
Yeah, I mean, that's how those shows work.
Yeah, exactly.
They got to get those ratings.
Exactly. Right? But with Jeopardy, there's none of that. It's just like what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
There's no behind the scenes maneuvering or editing to, make it seem more exciting than it really is. It's just purely about knowledge and strategy.
It's refreshing in a way.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder what audiences are really craving.
Yeah.
Maybe in a world that feels so chaotic and unpredictable, people are just looking for something real.
Something genuine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Jeopardy definitely offers that sense of stability and integrity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not just about the format of the show either.
Right.
Goins talked about how the Jeopardy round categories, while they seem kind of random, they actually often reflect current events or cultural trends.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so you're not just testing your knowledge of like random trivia.
Right.
You're also getting this like snapshot of what's happening in the world.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And of course, there's the whole strategic element of the game too.
Totally.
The way contestants approach those daily doubles and the risks they take. It's all very calculated.
Oh, yeah. It's like a mental chess match.
Exactly. And speaking of mental games, I can't help but think back to Goins doing his calisthenics on stage.
Yo, yeah.
It just makes the whole experience feel more relatable.
Right. Because we tend to think of Jeopardy contestants as these like super intelligent beings.
Exactly. Like they're just walking encyclopedias.
Yeah. But Goins' story reminds us that they're also dealing with like normal human nerves and anxieties.
Totally. And that makes their accomplishments even more impressive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because they're able to perform at such a high level while also managing all that internal pressure.
Right. It's pretty incredible when you think about it.
It is. And it makes you wonder what other behind-the-scenes stories are out there.
Oh, yeah.
Like what other rituals or coping mechanisms do these contestants have?
Right. There's got to be some good ones.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more of those.
Me too. But for now, let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay.
And talk about why Jeopardy has been so successful for so long.
Yeah, like what's the secret to its enduring appeal?
Exactly. So we've learned a lot about Jeopardy today, right? From the way it's filmed to some of the surprising things contestants do to handle the pressure.
Yeah, it's been a really fascinating look behind the scenes.
I know, I've definitely learned some things I didn't know before.
Me too.
But here's the question I keep coming back to.
Okay.
Does knowing all this stuff change how you watch the show?
That's a good question.
It definitely does for me.
Really? How so?
Well, for one thing, I find myself appreciating the contestants even more. Like, knowing they're dealing with this intense pressure in real time.
Right.
No retakes, no edits, and they're still coming up with these incredible answers.
Yeah, that's true.
It's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is. It's like watching a high wire act.
Yeah.
You know, they have a safety net, but they're still taking this huge risk.
Exactly. And then there's the added layer of knowing that they might have just done a set of squats or something.
Right, to get their energy up.
Yeah. It just adds to the whole spectacle.
I see what you mean. It definitely makes the competition more relatable.
Totally.
Like we see these contestants as these trivia titans, but they're also just regular people.
Yeah, with their own quirks and anxieties.
Exactly. And they found their own ways of coping with the pressure.
Which is pretty inspiring when you think about it.
Definitely.
And maybe that's part of why Jeopardy has been so successful for so long.
Yeah, maybe.
It's not just about knowledge. It's also about showcasing those human elements.
The resilience, humor, the vulnerability.
Exactly. It's what makes the show so engaging and relatable.
You're right. It's a really powerful combination.
So next time you watch Jeopardy, I want you to keep all this in mind.
Okay.
See, those contestants, not just as trivia experts, but as individuals navigating a high-pressure situation with their own strategies and maybe even their own secret rituals.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe their approach will inspire you to find your own way of tackling the challenges in your life.
That's a great point.
Ah,
And on that note, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive into the world of Jeopardy.
sounds good.
Thanks for listening, everyone.